Welcome to Jimmy Snow as a podcast for October 8th, 2024. Is the government controlling the weather? Is it even possible? Is Donald Trump's narcissism so powerful he can create a poll on Truth Social that even he cannot lift? Today marks 28 days to the election, 4 weeks from today on the dot. A calendar month, is that what is 28 days a calendar month? A standard, even though there's only 1 month that is out. 4 weeks to the election, exactly today. We're here to talk about the polls, the politics, and other things happening in the news. This podcast is leftist, godless, dairy, and bullshit free, just like me. And today we are going to have once again a wonderful time. I think I'm forgetting to mention that this show is brought to you by patreon.com/Jimmy Snow, where the wonderful patrons support the work over here. If you like the extended episodes, which include the bonus show where we fool around with the host afterward, didn't love the phrasing of that, you can go over to patreon.com/Jimmy Snow. But for today, please welcome my recurring host more and more all the time. But honestly, I am 0% complaining. In this case, she offered. And I was like, I wouldn't have asked because I would have thought it was too soon. It would have felt so overbearing. Aww. But welcome. Please, Eve was framed. Hi, Eve.
Hello. I'm happy to be back. I know when we were texting yesterday, you're like, I'm just trying to figure out the podcast. And I was like, do you want me to co-host with you?
I literally wasn't going to ask because I was like, I just asked her and I felt like a burden. You'd be like, Aww. I guess I was just there. Do you?
Well, we were trying to figure out when to hang out anyway, so this works out.
Has anything happened since 10 minutes ago when I was there last? I don't know. It seems a little wild. What news could have happened even? Well, I'm always excited to have you. And honestly, like I said last time, I'd just put you in a permanent chair. We should have one day like a panel podcast. That would be fucked up if then that was called Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. Welcome to Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Snow, and here are the other hosts of Jimmy Snow Has a Podcast. That seems a little shitty. Though I feel like a lot of comedians do that to their wives.
That sounds really fun.
Right? It kind of does.
You should make it all girls too, so it's just like you're giving us zero recognition as humans. You're just like, also they're going to talk some too. That
one guy did call in and say I'm a polygamist Mormon. I don't know if I told you about that, but there's a person who's so obsessively calls the show trying to like,
yeah.
I am a Mormon, technically. I'm still on the books and I take the label. In fact, I talked about this on Friday with Nemo, who is a Mormon who was just excommunicated. He's called Nemo the Mormon. And we talked a lot about that whole idea, and they're trying to get away from the label Mormon. So I'm like, if anything, we get this more than anybody, because no matter how much they try to distance themselves from us, criticize us, that's still the foundations of our upbringing. And so they can take us out of the Mormon church, but they can't take the Mormon church out of us. And so I weirdly like have gone from detesting Mormonism and Mormon culture to like re-embracing it again.
That's a fascinating way to look at it.
To be funny, or to be not funny, to be, what am I trying to say here?
It will be funny now.
Funnily enough, there's a person who I talk to who's ex-Mormon a lot, and it really annoys her how often I break into Mormon hymns. I'm like, we'll just be talking about something, and she'll say something like, I think you called, and I went, I did. I called to serve him, heavenly king of glory, chosen heir to witness for his name. She'll be like, stop, why, stop. And I'm like, you've only been out 8 years. I've been out long enough to now kind of appreciate it again. Yeah. I've gone past the whole resenting, hating, didn't want to think about anything. Yeah, though she's constantly exposed to it because she's also where I'm probably moving to in the Salt Lake area. And so, it's just funny stuff. And I like to parody the songs. The other day I pulled out a guitar and started singing Book of Mormon stories, but changing out the lyrics to it. It's fun.
You should do a whole live where that's all you do.
Just parodies of Mormon music. I weirdly have a skill for in the moment parodies also. I can freestyle parody pretty well.
I've heard you do that. It's really great.
Yeah. I have so few skills, but I have to celebrate the ones I have.
You have very many skills. Also, you can just break into Trump and Biden in between each song.
Trump I can do better than Biden. Biden, I've got to think about it.
You're getting better.
I'm serious, not a joke.
That's really solid.
Thank you. But I did the show with Professor Dave last night on Skep Talk over on the line, where we were taking calls from people who have various supernatural beliefs and debunking them essentially. And anyway, he and I hadn't worked together before, and we weren't planning on working together, but there was an accident and I had to pinch hit for Aaron. And he doesn't know me that much. And I enjoy doing it for the first time for people because they're always like, well, that's a pretty good impression. That's pretty good. When I pulled it out and I said, Dave, frankly, I don't know who you know with a better impression, but you're only saying it's pretty good. And frankly, I don't agree that it's pretty good. It's the best. They say that the only person who can do a better impression of Trump is Trump. Actually, I think Trump's impression of himself has been kind of changing.
Has it?
Yeah. If you go watch old interviews and stuff, even from just 8 years ago, like when he was doing interviews in the 90s and even a bit into the 2000s, he talked a lot more like this. If I come home and there is a dinner on the table, I go through the roof. I don't like it. And, that's just, I'm going to be the breadwinner and I expect to come home and have a nice thing ready. And now it's getting more gravelly because he's getting quieter. He's talking
old. He's getting very old.
People have never heard of this thing, a hurricane in October. In October and late September, they've never heard. It's very uncharacteristic, even though if you did a little Googling, you would actually see that is the peak season. But no one's ever heard of who's ever heard of a hurricane in peak season? Who's ever heard of it? No one. No one's ever.
Didn't he say something about, in terms of water, this is the wettest we've seen?
That was, they had a hurricane. They're talking about, it was a very wet hurricane, the wettest on record in terms of water. And he paused. He had to think of what wettest would mean in terms of, is water wet? No, wait. Do we have a definitive? Is the water wet or are the things which water touch?
Oh,
is that what's wet? By the way, water isn't wet. It makes things wet for those who are.
Yeah.
That and all of my weight loss makes things wet. Anyway,
the way you just
cringy
threw that in. No, it was great. That was impressive.
Thank you. I had to. I can't pass up an opportunity. Are you ready to play up, vote, down, vote?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Do you know what's exciting? I left one blank. We're going to make one together.
Oh, that's cute. That means you're out of time, and then you're like, now I'm going to make Eve do this with me.
No. Okay. I thought you were going to accuse me of that. I usually do 4 or 5 stories total.
Okay.
No, I usually do 4. So I did 5 this time and left the 5th one blank. So
okay, I'll give you it. That's fine.
Yeah. Gotcha. I set you up, and you look foolish now.
Okay.
So foolish. By the way, if it looks like I keep taking notes and you're like, what is he taking notes of? You know how like pages have like perforations to tear?
Yes.
Well, I drew in the perforations a bunch of little lines, and then I connected them, and then I connected them to and all I've been doing is creating a little bracket.
Here's my notes I've been taking.
Yeah. It looks like I'm trying to predict March Madness with really tiny writing. So if you're wondering, like, man, he's taking a lot of notes. What is he saying? I was telling him my skin routine before, and he's really interested. That's not what happened. She didn't.
I would be so happy if that happened.
We do talk about skin routine, but only when I feel like feeling like shit, when I want her to shame me. Like, oh, you use Jergens?
Sorry. I do shame you.
Jergens?
Honestly, it's the Aveeno one that I have the hardest time with, but it's okay. We'll fix it.
Was it Aveeno? I have Tresemme.
That's honestly really bad too, but it's okay.
She's like, just go outside, crack open some fresh aloe vera, and then rub your face in the mud. You'll be better off.
Honestly, that's so true. But
in Texas? Do you know what's in our mud in Texas? You're just like,
Depends. Do you know what's in Aveeno?
Wow, the scorpion stings are really
That's actually probably going to help exfoliate you.
Look at how sensitive my rosacea is. I just touched my face for, 2 seconds?
Yeah, your skin is very reactive.
Yeah.
Which is not terrible. Mine is too, actually.
Yeah.
You've got healthy blood flow happening.
This is the center of my rosacea, but I can't be bothered to use a cream twice a day. Twice a day? If you could throw it on to when I brush my teeth in the morning, but it's not even morning and night before bed. It's like supposed to be in the morning and then sometime in the afternoon.
Right.
Fuck you.
Yeah.
You give me a once a day cream and we're set. If maybe a before bed, but they don't want you to sleep with it on, I guess, because I think you don't want to compress it or something.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway, I don't know what the shit it is. Anyway, here's your first one.
Okay.
Old-ass desert manual gets orange coat of paint and heads to Tornado Valley. Is that an upvote or a downvote? To people who haven't listened before, we're doing the news.
Say that again.
I should have explained it. First-time listeners.
Yeah,
Upvote,
sorry.
downvote. I'm going to be presenting news stories, but with the titles modified and the nuance removed. And based on that title, Eve will upvote or downvote the news story, and then I will reveal the story. Old-ass desert manual gets orange coat of paint and heads to Tornado Valley. Think out loud.
I'm trying. The thoughts are not happening. I'm going to upvote it.
You're going to upvote that this is a good thing. The old-ass desert... No, you've already locked it in. You can't react to my tone right now.
You didn't tell me the news.
Old-ass desert manual gets orange coat of paint and heads to Tornado Valley. This from Raw Story. The Trump Bibles are the only ones in the world to meet new criteria for purchase by Oklahoma schools.
I had no idea what that could have been about.
Basically, the Oklahoma Department of Education wanted to add Bibles to its libraries and added... basically guidelines of what Bibles could be made for purchase. And the guidelines included things like must create, here's what it was. To be included, they have to be a King James version with both Old and New Testament. They have to be bound, which by the way is already, that is a law favoring a specific religion, like King James version specifically. No other editions allowed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The public school libraries. They have to be bound in leather or leather-like material. They have to include copies of the Pledge of Allegiance, Declaration of Independence, U.S. Constitution, and Bill of Rights. And the only one where when you're talking about, Bible manufacturers, go ahead, get your bids in as long as they follow these qualifications. The only Bible that actually qualifies is the Donald Trump Bible.
Right. Coincidentally, I'm sure.
And they want to buy 55,000 of them.
That's so disgusting. I mean, just like blatant, that's a Christian nationalist book. Like, that's all that is. Right. And then clearly this was worked out for Trump because no one else was buying that. Wasn't that Bible, like, not selling well anyways?
I don't know. I don't keep track of the Bible sales, but I will say, I know that you do, but I will say, I know you're very interested in that. It's a strange thing. You know this better than anyone.
You know me, every day I check the Bible sales stats.
I know you do. Yep. Yeah. So you tell me, but it is, it's so blatant and dumb, but also doesn't the Bible have a passage about don't add to the Bible? Isn't there a thing within, like, this book, leave it alone. Don't add to it. Now that it's done, it's done.
Yeah, but that's already been done like a million times. It's just really funny that you're taking a religion from the Middle East and you're slapping American shit all over it and acting like they have
Mormon.
Anything to do with each other. Yeah.
That's what Mormonism is. Mormonism is patriotic American fetishized Christianity. It literally creates a way in which Jesus Christ also came to America. You know that's in the Book of Mormon, right?
Yeah, I've heard this.
And Mormons believe that for those listening and who think I'm just shitting on them, I am technically a Mormon, right? So fuck off. Anyway, Mormons believe, I don't, but Mormons believe that Jesus Christ came to America basically in ghost form during the period of time while he's dead and then came back after he was resurrected by acts of teleportation, essentially. He's Jesus. Why couldn't he? Yeah.
To be fair, that at least they're trying to make sense of their nationalism that they're bringing in with their religion. Because evangelicals are just straight up like, clearly he was talking about America when he says this place in Egypt. Like, no, what?
Mormons believe that America is the promised land and that the location of the Garden of Eden was in Jackson County, Missouri.
I've heard that too. That's absolutely wild.
Yes. There is not a single good part of Missouri. Why would you pick there? There are much better places in America.
Pick the Grand Canyon. Say it got like wiped out, but
right. Yeah, whatever you want. Something. Or the big crater. The big crater in Mexico where the asteroid hit. Like something.
I kind of want to make up my own Bible now because that sounds fun. If you can just say shit, I mean, I could make up way cooler ideas.
I just realized, why haven't we made we should make the Line Bible where everybody gets a book of Eve, a book of Jimmy, a book of, oh my God, why haven't we done this? Like, make it just 10 pages of, maybe you share a couple stories that are important from your deconstruction. And so, I mean, I'm writing my book, the Beginner's Guide to Religious Deconstruction, and it's going to be better than this thing I'm describing. But what if all of us...
Don't be rude.
I'm just kidding. What if we did a book? Why don't we do that? The Lines Bible. And then we can literally point to it and be like, well, it says in here, and therefore it's automatically true. The Line Bible. I
love that. That's like there's this book I was obsessed with as a teenager that I think it was called Jesus Freaks Book of Martyrs or something like that. DC Talk helped put it out, I think. And it's literally just like this massive book of stories of martyrs across the world. And I was like, I'm going to be a martyr someday, so let me just like read these over and over and over again. But we could have our own stories where it's like the opposite of a martyr. I don't know what.
The libel.
The libel?
The Line Bible.
That's
the
great.
libel. Libel has a double meaning. Wow.
That's amazing.
Why do I have all my best ideas and forget them immediately? All right, let's get back to the news.
It's recorded. My upvote, I'm changing it to a downvote now because you didn't say I couldn't do that actually. So sorry. Okay, whatever.
Story number 2: golden-haired British mop tangled in toilet bug.
Hold on. Toilet bug.
I should have said Lannister instead of golden-haired British. Golden-haired.
Okay,
anyway.
Say it again.
Golden-haired British mop tangled in toilet bug.
Tangled in toilet bug? What is a toilet bug?
I know.
I can't even begin to imagine what this is. I'm going to upvote it because why the hell not?
I don't know if there's a good answer to this, but according to the Telegraph, here's the title: bugging device found in my bathroom after Netanyahu visit, claims Boris Johnson. Apparently back in 2017, Boris Johnson was visited by Benjamin Netanyahu. Listening device was found in Boris Johnson's personal bathroom at the Foreign Office after it had been used by Benjamin Netanyahu, the former prime minister claimed, which to me, it's just like, was it an accident? Like, you're going to plant a bug in a bathroom.
In a toilet?
What? It seems to me that maybe his pants came down and a bug fell out. Because why? What is it you want? First of all, Boris Johnson is our golden-haired mop, British mop.
Right. That's amazing.
Where do you want to bug Boris Johnson generally? Where do you think the best, like maybe his office, maybe some foreign information?
Obviously a toilet.
His home bathroom? Are you just wanting to hear, there we are? Like, what are
That's so gross.
What are you looking for? My goodness. This episode brought to you by Squatty Potty. No, I'm kidding. We were just talking about it before the show. I should get a Squatty Potty endorsement.
Yeah, you absolutely should.
Come on, Squatty Potty. I use your product like crazy. I have the one with the riser too, where you can extend it another few inches when you're really feeling like, Yeah,
I have the bamboo one.
Oh,
it's really cute.
To me, I work with wood, and I just think about the way wood absorbs like oils and stuff. And bamboo's a much tighter grained wood, so it's more difficult, but it still accepts finish. And I'm just like particles.
Actually, wood is better to like if you're going to use cutting boards. Wood is better for disinfecting and all of that.
Sure. And I know that because I make cutting boards, but you are containing stuff is getting in the board, especially liquids.
What are you doing in your bathroom that's making stuff get on your Squatty Potty?
Particles. Every time you flush.
Do you not flush the toilet when
you flush, particles get in the air.
With the toilet lid closed?
Uh-huh.
No.
Did you know that they still
get in? Don't tell me that.
Go.
I don't want to know this.
You can visualize it. There's gaps.
I don't want to visualize it.
There's gaps around the...
Cool.
It's not as bad.
Who's going to get like some kind of seal now and put it around?
They're like, so how do you use this toilet, Eve? You don't, actually.
Yeah, nobody
can use it. You look at the toilet and then you go shit in the yard.
Okay, so yucky. I hate talking about this stuff.
Oh my God, I forgot to do this one because I couldn't think of one. Shit, I actually left two blank. Well, you can help me. This is just a funky story.
You did the thing.
I shouldn't have done it twice. I remember I skipped it. I was like, I'll come back to this one. This one's hard.
Okay, what's the story?
Here's the headline, and it's bizarre. Magga Judge Michelle Fiore convicted of stealing $70,000 from fallen cops memorial fund for plastic
Holy
surgery
shit.
and daughter's wedding.
What?
Yes. This was a Magga judge appointed by Donald Trump in Las Vegas for a federal
figure.
judgeship. Ex-Las Vegas city councilwoman and recent Pahrump, Nevada justice of the peace. Oh, with no law degree, mind you. So justice of the
How
peace
is that
specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, misappropriated $70,000 in donations intended to honor fallen officer Alan Beck. Now, here's the first thing. I had to fact check this. It did happen. However, the first source I saw it on was a news source I have never heard of. Have you ever been to a website called Boing Boing?
I actually think I have.
Yeah, so this according to Boing Boing.
Yeah,
like it sounds like here are the 7 nip slips this week over at Boing's Boing. The 7 most notable nip slips, you fucking weirdos. That sounds like what you would find at Boing Boing, not the news. Anyway, Boing Boing, and apparently could face up to 20 years in federal prison for it. But what a shitty thing to do. Personal expenses, rent, plastic surgery, and her daughter's wedding. $70,000 in donations intended to honor whoever fallen officer Alan Beck was.
Yikes.
All right. Number 4, American Nazgul uphold vigilante racket.
American Nazgul does what?
Uphold vigilante racket. Do you know what the Nazgul are?
Isn't that from The Lord of the Rings?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And on the podcast, we project.
Sorry. At least I'm thinking out loud.
We're not doing an ASMR podcast.
I like doing those. Okay. The Nazgul, the American Nazgul. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is the Supreme Court. Then what?
Uphold vigilante racket.
I'm going to downvote this.
Yeah, and you were right. You actually did get it right. So the Nazgul are nine robed
Yes.
monsters. And in this case, it's 6 robed monsters and then 2 kind of like robed, less of a monster, but still not great. And one that's pretty okay. I wouldn't say the liberal. I'm still not a liberal. I'm still a socialist, but they're okay people at least. Anyway, American Nazgul uphold vigilante racket. This from the AP. Supreme Court declines Biden appeal in Texas emergency abortion case. And essentially, they are saying that a hospital is not free of liability against the using federal protections, that a person in Texas may still be liable if somebody has a problem with an abortion that is performed literally for the health and life of the mother. As in an emergency situation, you may still be able to do the stupid Texas vigilante thing and get people in trouble for aiding in an abortion, even if it was actually to save the life or health of the mother. They have upheld a lower court ruling for that.
That's wild. But also nothing surprising anymore. So.
And I just think of Meghan McCain today complaining about why is it that they have to talk about abortion every time? Why are we acting like this is the only reason why women vote? And it's literally like, no, first of all, you just get triggered every time they say abortion.
Right.
But also because this is going to kill women. So like maybe that's why making sure women understand they're going to die. Because now we've gotten to the extreme of not just going after the abortions of like, we just feel like you should have that kid, but going after the abortions that are saving women's lives, literally, physically saving their lives.
Yeah.
It's just so dumb.
I hate it here.
All right, you ready to help me make a headline?
I'm ready.
All right, this from Penn Live. A metal music festival lost its headliner and multiple bands after announcing that they were having Kyle Rittenhouse as a guest. So, those listening, if you were trying to hit up the Shell Shock 2 Music Festival in Orlando, you will now have a much worse time because the best parts of it have canceled because they booked Kyle Rittenhouse as, I don't even know what is
Whose
Kyle
idea
meant to
was
do
that?
there? Is he doing a talk? What? It's a music festival.
Also, do right-wingers run this thing?
Did you also hear that like he had PR team quit because they were responsible for making it seem like he's not murderous, and basically he has been talking about how much he wishes he could kill shoplifters in front of them. And they realize, like, nope, actually, he is
Holy
kind of a
shit.
murderous little asshole
Yeah,
and actually is delighted by the idea of killing people and maybe does want to kill more people. And
Yikes.
literally the PR people who are supposed to try and repaint his image were like, can't.
Yeah,
We're supposed to repaint that he isn't a murderous little, I'm trying to not use sexist epithets. I'm going to do it. Little bitch boy, sexist little bitch boy. And now I'm sure I'm on his list of, I wish I was allowed to kill people who call me a bitch boy. Anyway, so Metal Music Festival loses headliner, multiple bands after announcing Kyle Rittenhouse as guest. You ready to remove the nuance of it?
I'm really ready.
Do you want to know like a little bit of my formula?
I would love to.
So like in the last one, American Now School uphold vigilante racket. If you think about it, you start off with the noun that's the subject. So the main subject, and then a verb that changes. Basically, you're just changing what you're saying is happening. I mean, it's not that hard. And then the object, subject, verb, object is usually what I go with.
So what are we calling the not concert? What is it called? Music Fest.
Music festival, right. That's a good, I don't know. I would have started with Kyle Rittenhouse.
Oh, okay.
I'd have gone the subject.
Okay, what do we call him?
Blubbering murderer.
Murderous little bitch boy.
Murderous bitch boy. Murderous crying bitch boy, I would probably throw. Because remember, now there's the meme of
Can we call him a baby? Murderous crying baby?
Murderous, maybe not even need crying at that point. Murderous baby.
Murderous baby. That's perfect. Murderous baby.
Oh, I do like bitch boy. Murderous baby bitch boy. But we don't have to leave that in there. It'll be there in my heart.
Ruins loud sound gathering.
Ruins loud noise orgy. Is what would be my loud sound gathering. Just sounds like minimum effort. You want it to be
cooler. Okay.
Yeah.
Loud sound. You're fine. That's good. Orgy's fine. That's great. Even though, okay.
Yeah. I might have like tried to do a play on like metal. Maybe I would start talking about like, I would maybe try to work like aluminum in there or something.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah. Anyway,
really good.
Fuck Kyle Rittenhouse and the AK-47 he rode in on, or AR-15, I guess it was. Yeah. How do you feel about the election today? We're gonna move on to our main stories. Let's have some sort of nice audio to transition us over here. That'll work.
Perfect.
That's our transition sound. Just a group of people laughing. Maybe a drum.
Love it.
Didn't work.
Yeah.
That does it.
Nice.
That does it for me. Actually, the best. Here's our transition audio. Let's get to the main stories. We're going to talk about the polls, the things that are happening with Trump, Harris, and everything right now. So here we go.
Jimmy, I love you so much.
Not my impression. That was actually him.
Actually
I know
real.
People are like, your impression's so good. I couldn't tell the difference. How are you feeling about the election today? It is 4 weeks from today, on this day of the week.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it. I'm not excited about it at all. It was the last day to register to vote here in Tennessee yesterday, so I was posting about that. I did get I got only positive feedback from sharing that, which says something, because a lot of times I have people like, don't tell people to vote. That's like terrible. We've talked about this before. The ones who are using their vote as they're not voting because they want to protest. And I'm just like, hey,
we call them dum-dums.
You do know that not voting doesn't make any of that shit you care about any better. And it most certainly will make it worse. But anyways, so I don't know. I still feel the same, just kind of holding my breath. I think that's the best way to sum it up. What about you?
I don't know. I'm trying to parse the difference between belief and hope. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, my hope has become so extreme that I'm certain I'm having biases affirm it. Where I'm sitting there and going, I have such hope for him to lose that I worry that things I'm seeing that make me think, actually, I think it's going to happen and I think it'll be a big deal. Yeah. And, I'll look back at other things and go, women have saved us before on a lot of these issues. Women, save us now, please.
Yep.
Somebody save us. Please save us again. But, also feeling a little guilty where I'm like, women, please save us because we're not going to. But it's so fucked up that I have to ask you to do it. As though I'm going to blame them if it doesn't go over, which I am.
I will.
Yeah.
I will do that. Now, maybe you were going to bring this up later, but what do you think about this whole Melania all of a sudden? Like, I feel like we're getting played. Like, I feel like this is a prank and there's like a part 2 that's going to be like, but...
I don't
you know
even
what I mean? Have you seen the clip of her saying this shit?
Which stuff? I've seen a bunch of stuff. I know her book's coming out, and I think that that's her motivation. She wants the book.
No, the clip of her saying that she's pro-choice. And
right. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Also, weirdest clip I've ever seen. I thought it was AI at first, which maybe it even is, but obviously she put it out. So
politically, it's enough distance from, like, it's sort of like, look, if you're pro-choice, you can consider voting for Trump because you think his pro-choice wife might not influence, because he's saying, I just want it with the states.
Right.
I want it with the states. And so he can stick to his thing but then say, like, well, there's still pro-choice people in the room, even though she's literally not in the room. She's not also in their bedroom, let alone the room.
She's calling it a right, though, and he's not.
Right.
So to me, that does go directly against. That's why I feel like either there's a part 2 that we're about to get, where she's like, but I don't think the government should. You know what I mean? Or there's a possibility that she's pulling a fuck you and that he didn't know anything about her putting that part out.
I know he at a rally recently said, buy her book, pre-order it. It's going to be a great book. I haven't read it yet because I haven't had time to, but it's going to be. So he's expecting a book that's not going to excoriate him.
Well, his favorite thing to do is say that he hasn't read anything. So he'll keep saying that. That
is some amount of clear deniability. So if it does turn out to be negative for him, he can sort of sit there and go like, well, I hadn't read the book. It's a real, I don't
like
love
Project 2025.
Right. I guess I don't know for sure. Or maybe it's like her blackmail of him. Like, all I know. Go promote my book at your rally. Don't even think about not. But I don't think they're talking much. So I don't know if something like that would happen.
Yeah, he's probably doing whatever it takes to make sure she doesn't divorce him, because that would not.
Before the election. I think she is going to divorce him. Or I don't know. I don't know if she feels like she needs to. If she's like, why would I undermine my inheritance when he's so close? He eats KFC every day. Why?
Oh, man.
Why would I care?
Oh, boy.
I made her a little more Russian. Did you see her weird commercial with the
Russian?
Why does the media not appreciate the celebration of the human body? And I'm like, no one's talking about your nudes, Melania. What the fuck are you talking about? She acted like there's a controversy around the fact that she's done nude modeling.
Which
and as
there
though the
was
media,
like 8 years ago.
But not from the liberal media. No one there cared.
No,
they might
it was
point out
from
the
the right.
hypocrisy. Like, you guys are saying, like, you need these nice Christian values on display. Meanwhile, I can go look at the first lady's titties anytime I want.
Yeah.
But no one was actually mad at, like, go do whatever you want. Make a porno. Honestly, you're one of the few people he's fucked that hasn't. Like, that seems to have been his MO from the past. I just don't get what she's doing. She's just a weird. I read the bio that her best friend had done of her years ago, and she is just an odd person. And it's almost like, I don't know. Maybe in her language, their thoughts are just, that's all normal culture and stuff. But she's just weird.
So interesting. Is the book out yet?
No, it's not coming out till after the election, which I think is also telling.
See, that's where I think this is a bait and switch. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like that at all.
Do you think it's going to be pro-Trump or anti-Trump? Do you think
I don't know. I think it's fully one or the other. And right now it's being marketed as, who knows, mysterious. And like this little clip is going out that I don't know if that clip is going to help or hurt him. Probably nothing, honestly.
I think it's all just to make it weird again. For real. I think it's all just to make everything
fucking weird. It is
make
very
America
weird
again. Mawa.
God.
It's just the oddest. I think how do I want to put it? I think she sucks, first of all. But I think she is a clever, like, she's trying to market. I think she's trying to be clever at marketing. And so she's like, people are going to want to read this book. Why don't we talk about, if anything, I think she was trying to get people to Google her nude photos again. Like,
maybe.
And I think that if they thought the book was going to be good for Trump, it would come out before the election, not after. Yeah. And so I think they are concerned about parts that she's going to reveal in there. Like maybe she's going to talk about why she did not show up to any of his court hearings. Right? That's pretty conspicuous. None of them didn't come sit with the family or anything.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to learn any of that shit. I think it's going to be very vague and just a lot of weirdness.
I also think it's crazy that we are not getting a single day of court on the Georgia stuff before the election.
God. See, all of this just makes me not.
And then there were the revelations. More like we learned more about what was going on January 20th, and that people were saying to him, your vice president is in trouble. Your vice president is in danger. And he said, why would I care? Like, and there was this whole thing with the ketchup bottle. What was that? Trump with the ketchup? Did you hear about that? He was like,
no, what?
It was something to do with the ketchup was dripping down the walls or something because he was having, he threw his lunch at a wall in response to statements that Bill Barr made about the election.
Holy shit.
And there was ketchup slipping down the wall. So I assume he was eating steak because we know that he eats his steaks well done with ketchup.
So gross. Is there a picture of this ketchup anywhere?
No.
But do you think one exists? Like, surely somebody slipped a pic of it.
I don't know. Cassidy Hutchinson talked about it at a party at a hearing, and so I don't know.
At a party.
I don't know if there is. Yeah, at a party.
A
party with Congress where she was sworn in, and do you swear to have a good ass party?
Yeah.
There are some interesting things happening right now. They just did a new New York Times Siena poll, and she had a slightly more solid lead on if it was held today. She had actually it's only really a 3-point lead, 49 to 46, but that had been better than other polling. If you look at the averages that you get over at 538 and 270 to win, she still has basically her same 2.6 point poll lead. And I definitely think that she is going to win the popular vote, but that's not what matters in this country because we haven't been doing democracy.
Right.
We just cosplay it. I think Florida is the biggest potential sort of surprise, and we're going to talk a little bit more about Florida. But yeah. Who's going to be the most motivated to vote? So this hurricane that's happening now and happened recently, there is going to be some level of, can Biden-Harris look like they are being extremely competent in the response? And so far they're doing a good enough job, but against Trump just has to say, and all I have to say is I would have done it so much better, so different, and so much better, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to. But you have these very good shots of, Harris in line packing products for people who are going to need it, getting FEMA packages ready or whatever. And so that's going to affect Florida, but also the abortion vote, their constitutional amendment still on, and how will everything just be sort of thrown off in general by that? It's scary because you're like, I'm sitting here going, part of me feels like looking at how when you poll in certain states, in fact, there was just a story about this in the New York Times, that when you poll in certain states, there's some level of consistency between the different polls where you're like, sure, this one might show a bigger lead or a smaller lead, but you'd still have a general idea. And Florida's is the one that's the most chaotic when you go to poll. That generally it's still Trump winning by a few points, but there's still some chaos in the different things. And I'm really thinking, and this was the thing that why I think Florida might go blue because of that constitutional amendment. Just imagine you poll 50 men and 50 women, and let's say 30 of the men go for Trump and 30 of the women go for Trump. And so Harris only has 40. And a person looks at that and goes, well, then on election day, Trump is going to win. But the thing that you're not actually addressing is that the 40 people for Harris, especially that group of 20 women, have more motivation to actually go. And so what percentage of the 40 are going to go versus what percentage of the 60? So let's say you got 75% of the of the 40 to actually show up. That means you would have 30 people voting for Harris. I know this is a very reductive way to do it. And then of the 60 people, you basically have to ask yourself, can you beat that turnout with the motivation? And so then the question becomes, of those 60 people, can you get less than 50% of those 60 people to show up? Meaning, say, obviously, half of that is 30. So if 50% of the 60 show up or 75% of the 40 show up, that's a tie. You would need it to be less than that.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that might actually be the case, that a lot of people are unhappy with different things over the last several years, but also the polling might be a little bit skewed in the way they poll there. But I do think that there is a shot at, not only are you going to get that 30, but actually I think some number of those 30 women that allegedly are voting for Trump in that example that aren't going to, that they actually are going to vote on. This is what happened in reverse back in 2016. So many people who said they were not voting or were voting for Biden ended up not telling the truth in the polls because they were ashamed of their vote. And right now, if your community is Florida and you want to maintain your community and the people around you to affirm you and accept you, you might have to be saying you're Trump by default. And that's kind of where my hope of the chaos comes in.
Here's my question, and maybe I'm going to sound like an idiot here because I don't know what the rule is. I don't know how this works. With this hurricane that's about to come in, which looks really, really, really bad. And obviously this is me like hardcore speculating worst case scenario. With what's happened from Helene, it's really bad. I mean, infrastructure is totaled in many towns.
And this one looks like it's going to be worse. This one looks like it's going to be one of the worst hurricanes to hit Florida.
What happens if the infrastructure is not there for voting?
I think they will put up some type of infrastructure, even if that is the case. I mean, we have a few weeks to do it.
But what if people are gone? You know what I mean? Like people that have left and they're in another state. Like, do we have a precedent for this? Is this something that could potentially put a pause on things?
Probably not, because the main precedent we have is that we don't stall the election or cancel the election for anything. And so it'll be a matter of like somebody will have some complicated answer, ways you could potentially do absentee voting, ways you could maybe pledge a vote or something where it's
so
like
they'll make a way.
Right. And then you can potentially give the state initially give what the state's thing is likely to be, but then by certification day, make sure everything's okay. I don't know. I will say if Harris wins, they are probably going to use exactly what you're describing as the excuse for why it needs to be canceled, basically overturned. They'll probably try to overturn the whole election on the basis well, the hurricane messed up Florida. Even if the difference of Florida wouldn't have changed the outcome of the election, they'll do that.
Yeah.
Am I making you sick?
Yes. That's what I'm thinking about all of this. I'm just looking for what they're looking for because you know that they are.
Right.
They, meaning people who want to, kick and scream.
They've already set the groundwork in like West Virginia, passing new laws and policies to make it like we're planning on rejecting anything but a Trump vote and saying that if fraud is in any state, if we point to that we think there's fraud in any state, we can use that to withhold certifying the election to try and extend out then the federal process and see whatever their fuckery they can come up with as hair dye drips down their faces.
God.
By the way, we're having a news conference for The Line later this evening that will be at the Four Seasons Hotel. Wait, nope. That'll be at Four Seasons Manure and what would be a funny thing to pair with a manure plant? If you want to head to Four Seasons Manure and Kaleidoscopes, you can get your
kaleidoscopes.
Get your bags of manure where you get your kaleidoscopes, as we all do, as we all are known to do. Sorry for the little sniff in the camera. Jimmy's been a little sneezy today. There's some allergens in the air.
I've been very allergic. Is that the word? No, I've been allergic to something that's happening.
Yeah, I'm feeling this is more likely allergies than being sick.
Than a sickness.
Also, interesting election news that we are the projection. This from Political Wire from Tegan Goddard. The projection on spending for this election, which does include congressional elections, up to $16 billion. We are so done with elections. We should have them shorter. We should get rid of Citizens United. They should have to only be publicly funded. Holy shit, this is so fucking dumb. So dumb. $16 billion of just who you're going to vote for. And we're doing this now every 4 years. That number keeps going up. In fact, I remember years ago when it was a big deal that it was going to be the first $1 billion campaign. And I think that was clear back, like, maybe that was Obama McCain, the first time it was going to be $1 billion.
Yeah.
We're up to 16, and that's just wild. Any thoughts on?
I just hate it here. That's all I keep thinking. It just feels like not good.
Well, let's end on a happier note. Let's do our final story a little bit happier.
Okay.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
This is getting so much worse.
I just wanted to make eye contact to see how
actually vomit. Yeah. Oh.
Has tweeted on X, Twitter. I'm dead naming it. Fuck you in your fucking face, X. Twitter. Yes, they can control the weather. It's ridiculous for anyone to lie and say it can't be done.
Shit. She did not actually say that.
She did. She is claiming
What's her evidence for any of this?
And this is all in the wake of Hurricane Helene. And
so she's claiming that somebody intentionally, holy fucking shit.
Which then people want to point to, like, she's right, what about cloud seeding? Cloud seeding, which can do a very small amount. Literally so little. You cannot create a hurricane via cloud seeding. You can make clouds more likely to precipitate with cloud seeding. And in fact, decades ago, they did experiments with cloud seeding to see if they could reduce hurricanes or fuck up its eye wall and shit like that to try and make the whole thing dissipate. People don't realize a hurricane has the same amount of energy as thousands, tens of thousands. I think it's like 15,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs.
Yeah.
How is it you think they're doing that? Where are they getting the energy and generating and modifying? What space laser has that amount of juice to be able to add all of this energy to the system? Even the biggest bomb we've ever heard of, the biggest atomic bomb, the Tsar bomb, I think it's called. It's still like 3,000 of those hydrogen bombs. Explain to me the process by which this works, where they are not only, because you're not just suggesting that they're controlling the weather at all, that they could encourage clouds to drop water in certain areas. You're describing that they are putting so much energy into a system, and not just the energy to create the storm, but to control the path of the storm, which would also mean not only getting that energy to there, but energy into pressure systems all over this side of the globe to literally guide it that direction and overpower it and push it where you want. Because apparently they think it's all a ruse to be able to do some lithium mining.
What?
Yes. They want to mine, as I recall, it was North Carolina and Florida for lithium. And they're making up these things, the biggest lithium reserve in the entire world, which isn't actually true. There's probably lithium to mine, but how?
That's the process? Like, what?
None of it makes any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
Except to a conspiracy theorist, where they're like, okay, well then explain to me peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And you're like, what? Well, we get our jelly from the government, okay? You ever heard of KY jelly? What else does KY stand for? Kentucky. Kentucky is a state of government. Okay, so you got your KY jelly, but that's also your Smuckers. Smuckers rhymes with fuckers. Motherfuckers. Donald Trump is a motherfucker, but he's my motherfucker, and he's the motherfucker that's going to save the Smuckers from the lithium ion batteries. Ion you. What's on our money? An eye. It's got its eye on you. Okay, are you keeping up? This is common sense. This is basic math. I made all of that up as I was going, and yet it seemed real.
It's terrifying how good you are at that, actually.
What was I just channeling? I'm very afraid
you just
right now.
Truly channeled your inner Marjorie Taylor Greene. Wow.
On you.
It's so bizarre that these people would rather do what you just did than say, like, yeah, for years and years and years now, we've been knowing that climate change is very much real. And scientists have been telling us for years and years and years that this shit is going to happen.
Yeah.
So are they prophets or are they fucking scientists that have been observing what's going on and now they're right about their observations?
I think they would say that they are telling us that so they can cover up why these basically like now they can point to climate change is causing it even though they're causing it. That's their conspiracy. But also I threaded this yesterday and it was kind of a realization I had while I was on the show with Dave last night as we were talking. This is what I threaded. So, by the way, follow me on Threads, Jimmy A. Snow. I want you there because that's where I share a lot of my inner deep most thoughts. And
I love
also
your threads.
Because
They're
I'm
really
monetized.
good.
Thank you. It's worth the fact that I will get some fraction of a penny if you read my stuff.
I don't know how
fraction.
you got monetized and I'm not.
I do.
Tell me. Without insulting me.
This color, skin, and beard suggests I have a white penis. It's not universal, but anyway, that's it.
Okay, fair enough.
Welcome to America.
Love it.
My white penis privilege. Anyway, I will say it's less white than the rest of me. That's not like a racial joke I was trying to make. I'm just saying it is off-colored. It's actually more of a greenish purple. Anyway.
Oh my God.
It got gross and weird at the same time. So what I threaded was, so they believe the government has the tech to create a hurricane in a few days, but don't believe humans could cause climate change over decades. It's wild. Wild. They think you could, over the weekend, get a full-ass devastating hurricane put together, but you couldn't put together a literal, which Donald Trump knows that it's not possible. Donald Trump was president. He knows the nation's secrets, as horrifying as that is. He knows what really happened to JFK if something didn't happen. He has all of the evidence of whether there are aliens or not, and we know there's not because he hasn't spilled the beans, because he would not have been able to keep that to himself. Can you imagine? Right. Donald Trump knows there's aliens and he never lets that slip?
Yeah.
Come on. And the fact that he's never let it slip that if they could control the weather, every blue state would have had a hurricane on election day. Are you kidding me? Like, it's so dumb in so many ways, but this is our life now. And I feel like that is the perfect time to, first words. Do you know, listen to it very clearly.
I don't remember.
Welcome.
Fair enough. Yeah,
This is your life now. The wasteland.
We just got to get through this election.
And I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Are you coming for the after show?
Let's do it.
Have a little chat ski.
Let's chat.
I'm going to go get I left some of the cards that I want to use. I don't want to use the wholesome ones again. I don't want to answer. Okay, we'll do what do you think I'm sensitive to? We'll do when do you feel most... No, that one's dumb. It's too uplifting. I'm going to go get the bad people. The stir 'em up cards, actually, not the bad people cards this time.
Now I can't even hear you, so this is going to be a surprise for me.
Too loud. Here, I'll turn it down in your ears a little bit. And why don't you remind people where you are and stuff while I go grab that?
Oh, I am... You mean literally? I'm just kidding. You mean on the internet. You can find me apparently on Jimmy's podcast all the time, and I'm over on Instagram, TikTok as Eve_was framed. And now the Jimmy Snow podcast is actually Eve Was Framed has a podcast because Jimmy is not in the building, so I'm in charge. And now I have nothing to say. And Jimmy? We're going to pretend like I said something really insightful this whole time. Jesus Christ, Jimmy.
I feel like you're not still talking.
Listen, I've actually been talking this whole time, and I said really great things. Just turns out it doesn't take very long to say that you can find me on TikTok and Instagram, so...
Jimmy
But I did take over your podcast. I said apparently now Eve Was Framed has a podcast, so.
Hell yeah. Look forward to the libel.
The libel.
I think we should think about doing it.
Sure.
I just don't know what sort of, like, that might be a more difficult thing to pull off as if people want some sort of rights to...
Yeah.
the copyright of the words they put in, and it's kind of like...
Yeah, I don't know how royalties and all that work with the collaboration.
Whereas I'd want to be like, let's just do our standard profit share the way we do everything else, and if you leave...
Or we do it as a fundraising thing for like recovering from religion or something.
Yeah, we could do a temporary run of it.
Yeah.
Also, why'd you have to? Now, if I try to profit off of it, I look like an asshole.
Sorry.
We do a temporary run with a clear, definitive thing, and then we just make it free.
We could, you know what?
Like
we
a
could
digital
make.
version.
Yeah, we could make the digital version fundraiser, and then we could make a hard copy like support the line.
I don't know. We'll figure something out. If I decide, it's already becoming too much work. Sorry, everybody. This is the wasteland. Okay, bye.